The country's top health insurance executives were on Capitol Hill today to try to explain how Obamacare is changing their industry and how it's affecting you and your family. Chief National Correspondent Jim Engel is following the action tonight.
Continuing the argument over the impact of the health care law, a congressional committee called insurance company representatives to provide answers Republicans say they can't get from the administration. But first, lawmakers on both sides had a few comments of their own, with one Republican recalling the president's promise everyone could keep their doctor no matter what.
Like it or not, millions of Americans have found themselves with the unwelcome reality of cancellations and lost access to their trusted doctor.
One Democrat quoted a liberal commentator's description of Republican criticisms.
Obamacare derangement syndrome. He defined it as, and I quote, the acute inability to see Obamacare as anything but a catastrophic failure that the American people will soon reject.
Both sides sought to get the industry to agree with them, but the testimony didn't start well for Democrats when a representative of the industry trade group called for repeal of a new tax imposed on insurance policies.
We are deeply concerned that this tax is undermining efforts to control costs and provide affordable coverage options.
He said the industry strongly supports a bipartisan bill in the House to repeal the tax, which stands to add $100 billion to policies over the next 10 years, more than $2,000 per individual, a tax that increases 40% just next year. Each side sought to puncture the other side's arguments. One Republican asked the insurance representatives about a key promise from the president.
If your company anticipates a reduction for the average family that you insure of $2,500 or more, would you raise your hand? Of $2,000 per average family, raise your hand. For $1,500?
Insurance representatives would not say how much rates might go up in 2015, though several CEOs have talked about double-digit increases. Oddly enough, Democrats raised the ticklish issue of the president's false promise that everyone could keep their doctor. One lawmaker simply asked every insurer if they covered doctor visits at all without regard for people keeping their own doctors.
Does your company health care plan, the plans cover physician care?
They do.
Does Cigna have doctors in its health care plans?
Yes, we do.
One Democrat even defended a part of the law consumers don't like, narrow networks that exclude their doctors or closest hospital. That keeps premiums down, of course, and would be expensive to change, but she said it was consumers' responsibility to choose the right plan. Brent?
There were not a lot of hands moving on that $2,500 reduction.
They were frozen in place.
Okay, Jim, thank you.